Hello, my name is Lilia, and with these videos I will be instructing you on how to conduct flexibility assessment. Prior to any of the following flexibility assessments, you want to make sure that your client warms up with a 5-minute moderate aerobic warm-up. First, let's begin with the Canadian trunk forward flexion test. Have the client sit with the legs flat on the ground and the feet placed flat on the flexometer at the 26 centimeter mark. Have the client overlap their hands, making sure not to lead with one hand more than the other. Then have the client slowly reach forward, stretching as far as possible, avoiding any type of jerking or bouncing movement. The client should hold this position for 2 seconds, and then you can take the measurement of the farthest point reached with fingertips in centimeters or inches. Your client's hands can also be parallel to each other, making sure not to lead with one hand more than the other. The highest measurement of 2 trials should be recorded. Be sure to instruct the client to exhale and drop the head when reaching forward. Be sure that the client's legs remain extended and in contact with the ground at all times. Do not hold the client's legs down. Again, use the highest measurement of the 2 trials and categorize your client's flexibility using the following chart provided when you are using a sit and reach test box in which the 0 point is set at the 26 centimeter mark. If you are using a box which the 0 point is set at 23 centimeters, subtract 3 centimeters from each value on this table. My client measured at 27 centimeters, which is a category of needs improvement. Now I will be going over the straight leg raise test. Again, after a 5-minute aerobic warm-up, you want to have your client lie down flat on their back in the supine position. Then you can raise one of your client's legs, ensuring that the other leg remains extended and in contact with the floor at all times. Take the goniometer and place it on the axis of the greater trochanter and measure the angle of flexion or range of motion. If using an indunometer, you would place it just below the tibial tubercle. Be sure that it is aligned with the leg that is raised and the client's back that is lying flat on the ground. Record the measurement of degrees and categorize your client as acceptable or unacceptable. 80 degrees is considered acceptable, and 90 degrees is desirable. This client is measured as unacceptable as he measures 65 degrees, less than the acceptable of 80. Now let's go over the chair, sit, and reach test. To conduct this test, you will need a chair that measures 17 inches at seat height and a measuring device in centimeters or inches. The chair should be placed against the wall and should not tip forward easily. After a 5-minute aerobic warm-up, you can have your client sit at the edge of the chair with the testing leg extended forward with their heels on the floor and ankles in dorsiflexion at 90 degrees, which should cause the toes to point straight up. The other leg should be flexed with the sole of the foot flat on the floor about 6 to 12 inches to the side of the body's midline. Have your client overlap their hands, palms facing down, making sure that one hand is not leading more than the other at the fingertips. The client can then slowly reach straight down as far as possible to or passing the toes, bending at the hip joint. Keeping the back as straight as possible and the head in normal alignment in an untucked position. The client's leg should remain extended at all times, and the furthest possible stretch should be held for 2 seconds without bouncing or jerking movements. To measure the flexibility, place the ruler alongside the client's hands and foot. Measure the distance of the fingers, either passing the toes or falling short of reaching the toes. Reaches short of the toes will be scored in minus scores, and beyond the toes will be scored as plus scores. Now let's go over the V-sit and reach test. This test is for older individuals or for individuals who have poor range of motion or lower back pain. Begin by having your client sit with the legs extended in front of them on the floor. Place tape across the floor with a measurement of 15 inches. Both at the 15-inch mark and the 0. The client's heel should be lined up with the 15-inch mark at about 10 to 12 inches apart. The client's hands should begin in an overlapped or parallel position, making sure not to lead with one hand more than the other. The client can then slowly reach forward as far as possible without bouncing or jerking movements. Measurement of the farthest point reached should be noted, and the best of 2 trials can be recorded and used to classify your client's flexibility. By using the chart that is provided in the following slide. According to this chart, my client has measured 17 inches of flexibility, which is average in the 50th percentile.